Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger gave his farewell speech on the House floor yesterday. He reflected on his time serving his country in the military and on the current state of his party.
We must not abandon our values or our beliefs in the U.S. Constitution. We all swore an oath in this very chamber to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, not a political party and not a single man. Where Republicans once believed that limited government meant lower taxes and more autonomy, today limited government means inciting violence against government officials. Following the tragic Oklahoma City bombing, former President George H.W. Bush publicly refuted those who used fear to gain support. In stark contrast, our leaders today belittle and in some cases justify attacks on the U.S. Capitol as, quote, legitimate political discourse. The once great party of Lincoln, Roosevelt, and Reagan has turned its back on the ideals of liberty and self-governance. Instead, it has embraced lies and deceit. The Republican Party used to believe in a big tent, which welcomed the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Now, we shelter the ignorant, the racist, who only stoke anger and hatred to those who are different than us. Our constituents voted us in based on our beliefs, but we cannot use our faith as a sword and a shield while ignoring the fact that we are all children of God, that we are all Americans.
Wow. It's sad in many ways. Must have been really bittersweet for him. So what do you remember about your farewell speech in Congress?
Well, it's interesting. He talked about limited government. My farewell speech, we had just balanced the budget 3 years in a row. And so I had said, the future, we have changed the debate in Washington forever. We're going to move away from deficit spending. We're going to move towards balanced budgets. We've balanced it 4 years in a row. And that was in 2001. Republicans took over everything, and deficits just exploded the next couple of years. And so, Claire McCaskill, it's so interesting. I was talking about a Republican Party that I thought existed that went away as far as spending goes and balanced budgets and small government. And there Adam's talking about, hey, we used to be the party of limited government. And also for those on the left that may go, wait a second, the Republican Party's never been inclusive. It's important to remember Ronald Reagan's farewell speech was on letting immigrants into the country. And he said, the second we close our door to immigration, we become an older, tireder, less dynamic country, and we cease to be great as a country. So you don't have to go back to Lincoln to see where Donald Trump has taken this party and understand how far they've moved away from over 150 years of what the Republican Party claimed to stand for.
It's really interesting, Joe, because even if Donald Trump goes away, the Republican Party still has a major identity crisis. This was the party that most people in America knew what it stood for. It stood for lower taxes, smaller government, free trade, a hawkish foreign policy. Now all of that is gone. Now it's just about grievance. It's just about grievance and culture wars. And so what we're going to witness over the next 2 years is going to be a sight to see, regardless of whether Trump's on the scene or not, because you're going to see Kevin McCarthy struggling to appease the people in the Republican Party that want to hold on to the grievance and the hate and the bigotry and all of the things that Adam Kinzinger talked about in his speech yesterday. And you're going to see the Senate. I mean, look at yesterday. They had to keep the government open for one more week. One more week. And there were only 9 Republicans that voted to keep the government open for one more week. While in the Senate, that was 9 in the House. In the Senate, there were many Republicans that were doing the responsible thing. So you're going to have a war of two worlds. There are going to be more grown-ups in the Senate trying to get back to a Republican Party based on policy. But it is going to be crazy town in the House. And that is going to be really, that will be wings, that'll be wind beneath the wings of the Democratic Party in 2024, because it's going to be a mess. It's going to be grievance and investigation, no policy.
Well, and that is a problem. Gene, the Senate Republicans are going to find themselves in the same position over the next 2 years that they found themselves in during the election. You know, Republicans were winning these gerrymandered House seats, and they were losing statewide in Pennsylvania. They were losing statewide in Arizona. They were losing statewide in Georgia. They were losing statewide in swing states. And multiply those problems for Republicans 100-fold, because every day there's going to be a crazy statement from the Republican Party. And people aren't going to say what we say on this show, that there are three parties. There's the Democratic Party, there's the House Republican Party, and there's the Senate Republican Party. And I understand a lot of people disagree with a lot that Republicans do in the Senate, but that's the more traditional Republican Party. Yeah. But all Republicans are going to get smeared and held responsible for the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene says, for the things that other wackos say, for their glorification of Vladimir Putin. If somebody does that, which they will, the attacking of Zelensky, violent imagery that we've seen time and time again from these House Republicans. It's a nightmare for Republican candidates over the next couple of years.